Have you ever been sitting in a meeting, you've got this brilliant idea, but you just don't know how to jump in and share it? Or maybe you're prepping for a group discussion for an interview and you're feeling those nerves. Well, if that sounds like you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to break down and master the art of group communication. This is a skill that's not just for your exams, but for your entire career. Okay, let's get right into it. So let's start with the question you see on the screen. ഒരു ഗ്രൂപ്പിലിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ നിങ്ങളുടെ അഭിപ്രായം വ്യക്തമായി പറയാൻ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുണ്ടോ? Just take a second and really think about that. If you've ever felt that hesitation, that little bit of doubt, trust me, you are not alone. But here's the good news. By the end of this session, you're going to have the tools to really tackle that challenge head-on. All right, before we jump into all the practical tips and tricks, we have to build a really strong foundation. You know, it's kind of like building a house, right? You can't put up the walls and the roof without a solid base first. Communication is exactly the same. So let's start with the absolute basics. What in the world is group communication?
Okay, so what is group communication? At its core, it's the process of exchanging information to achieve a common goal. അതായത് ഒരു പൊതുവായ ലക്ഷ്യത്തിനു വേണ്ടി കുറച്ചാളുകൾ ഒരുമിച്ച് ആശയങ്ങൾ കൈമാറുന്നു. It's that simple. Think about a college project you worked on. You and your teammates had to share ideas, right? You had to figure out who does what, give each other feedback, all of that. That's group communication in action. It's the engine that makes teamwork actually work.
Okay, so now let's move into our first real-world scenario, the group discussion, or as we all know it, the GD. If you've ever applied for a job or a spot in a university, you've probably had to face one of these. Yeah, they can be pretty nerve-wracking, but they're also a golden opportunity to show what you're made of. So let's figure out how to do just that. Now, here is the most important thing to understand about a GD. It's not just a test of what you know, it's a test of who you are. Seriously, the interviewers are not looking for a walking, talking encyclopedia. അവർക്ക് വേണ്ടത് നന്നായി കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ കഴിവുള്ള ഒരു ടീമായി പ്രവർത്തിക്കാൻ അറിയുന്ന leadership potential ഉള്ള ഒരാളെയാണ്. So, your knowledge is one piece of the puzzle, but it's these personality traits you see here that are going to make you stand out from the crowd. Here's a major exam tip for you. The next time you're in a GD, keep this list in your mind. The evaluators are actively looking for these things. So how do you show them? Well, instead of just dropping your opinion and stopping, try to build on what someone else said. That shows you're a team player. Or, hey, if the discussion starts getting a little messy and off topic, you could be the one to gently guide it back. That right there, that shows leadership. Okay, so we've covered the kind of informal setting of a group discussion. Now let's switch gears and walk into the more structured world of a formal business meeting. You see, while a GD is often about shining as an individual, a formal meeting is all about making decisions together, as a team. And for that to happen effectively, there are some rules we've got to follow. For any meeting to be considered official or valid, it needs these 4 key things. Let's call them the 4 pillars of a successful meeting. First, you need a clear objective, or lakshyam. Then you need an agenda. Third, you must have enough people there, which is called a quorum. And finally, you need an official record of what happened, known as the minutes. Let's break each of these down.
So where does it all begin? With a notice. Now, this isn't just a casual email invite. A formal notice is actually a legal document. It's the official starting gun for the meeting. It clearly states the date, the time, the location, and, most importantly, the purpose. Without this formal notice, the meeting isn't technically valid, and any big decisions made could even be challenged later.
Next up, we have the agenda. This is basically the meeting's roadmap. It tells everybody exactly what's going to be discussed and in what order. A good agenda is the secret to keeping a meeting on track and productive. An approach tip for you. If you look at the numbering, like 6.01, that just means it's the first item for the 6th meeting. It's a simple way to keep everything organized. Okay, this brings us to a really important legal term you have to know. Quorum. Just think of it like a football match. You can't officially start the game with only 3 players on the field, right? You need a minimum number. Well, a meeting is the same. Quorum എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഒരു മീറ്റിംഗിലെ തീരുമാനങ്ങൾ valid ആകാൻ വേണ്ട minimum അംഗങ്ങളുടെ എണ്ണമാണ്. If you don't have a quorum, you can chat all you want, but any decision you make is completely invalid. Legally, it's like the meeting never happened. And after the meeting is over, we have the minutes. This isn't just someone's messy notes. It is the official, written record of what went down. The minutes are the ultimate proof of what was decided, who is responsible for doing what, and by when. If there's ever any confusion or argument down the line, you go back to the minutes. It's the final word, the source of truth. And now for another huge exam topic, resolutions. These are just the formal decisions made in a meeting. The easiest way to think about it is this. An ordinary resolution is for routine stuff, and it just needs a simple majority. That's more than 50% of the vote. But a special resolution, that's for the big, important stuff, like changing the company's rules. For that, you need a supermajority, at least 75% of the votes. That difference is absolutely crucial. So far, we've been focused on communication happening inside a single room, with a single team. Now, I want you to zoom out with me. Let's get a bird's eye view of how communication happens on a much, much bigger scale. We're talking everything from massive industry events to the video calls that have become a part of our everyday lives. So what's the difference between a conference and a video conference? Well, you can think of a traditional conference like a huge festival. It's a big event where you go to learn from experts, meet tons of new people, and network. A video conference, on the other hand, is more like a quick, focused video call with your close friends. It's super efficient, it saves travel, and it's perfect for getting work done across different cities or even countries. Both are powerful, just for different reasons.
All right, let's take our final step up and look at group communication at the highest level possible. We're going to talk about how an entire organization, a huge company, for example, communicates with the entire world. This is where the fascinating fields of public relations and social media come into play. It's all about managing a story and building relationships on a massive scale. So what is public relations, or PR? In one word, reputation. Think of PR as the guardian of a company's image. Its entire job is to build a positive, trusting relationship between the organization and everyone it deals with. Customers, the media, investors, everyone. ഒരു നല്ല PR team ഒരു skilled diplomat പോലെയാണ്. They know exactly how to build trust. So, PRന്റെ പ്രധാന ലക്ഷ്യം ഒരു സ്ഥാപനത്തിന്റെ സൽപ്പേര് സംരക്ഷിക്കുക എന്നതാണ്.
A PR department has to juggle a lot of things at once. They handle media relations, which is working with journalists to get good stories out. Then there's crisis management. That's the team that jumps in when things go wrong. They also manage big events, handle internal communications to keep all the employees in the loop, and of course, they manage the company's overall reputation, both online and off.
And that brings us to what has been the single biggest game changer for PR in the last 2 decades, social media. See, in the old days, communication was a one-way street. A company would put out a TV ad, and that was it. But social media? It completely flipped the script. It turned a monologue into a dialogue. It's a two-way conversation where companies and customers can talk directly to each other. And the impact of this has been massive. Suddenly, organizations have a global stage to tell their story. They can engage directly with their audience, get instant feedback on their products, and, crucially, respond in real time during a crisis. It's like having a direct phone line to every single one of your customers. That is incredibly powerful for building a brand that people actually care about. So we have covered a lot of ground today, from speaking up in a group discussion all the way to how huge companies manage their image using social media. But remember, these aren't just theories from a textbook. They are real, practical skills you can start using tomorrow. So I'll leave you with this final thought. In your very next team meeting or your next college project, which one of these techniques will you consciously try to use first?